Hello and welcome to West Country Wanderings. Welcome to another one in my Cotswold Walk series. Sorry, it's been a little while since I did the last one. It probably about 6 weeks ago because of, well, lots of other projects and other things happening in my life, that sort of thing. Anyway, today I'm in my local town. I'm here, as you can see, here in the town of Stroud. That there is the old Hillport building, now apartments. It's a beautiful morning. It's very early in the morning. The reason why I'm filming very early is because it's going to be very hot today and I want to finish walking by about 8:30 a.m. So yes, it's 5:30 here this morning. So blurry-eyed, I'm going to start the walk and we're going to head over to a place called the Toadsmoor Valley. Now incredibly, I have never been there before. Yeah, I know it sounds really weird. It's very hard to get there via a car because there's virtually nowhere to park there, hence why this is in my car free series. So here the Stroud station, or the Stroud station, is on the Golden Valley line. That way down there takes you down to Swindon, Didcot, Reading and London Paddington. That way there takes you to Cheltenham and Gloucester, where you can change obviously for trains going north. Occasionally there's through train. In fact, there is a train. It's a very early train that'll take you on to Southampton from here, and the first train going that way would take you to Worcester Shrub Hill. So you can connect obviously with Gloucester places going down towards Bristol and Bath and on into Somerset, Devon and Cornwall. So it is easily gettable place here by using public transport, by trains. The bus is in the area as well. There is a sort of a bus station. There used to be a proper bus station. I won't go there. It's a controversial topic amongst people that live in the area. It used to be a proper bus station, but now there's just like buses that stop in a place called Merry Walks that go from different places. I think there's a couple of through ones from Bath as well. Anyway, let's go on our walk. We're going to walk through the town and head up across to the Toadsmoor Valley. I won't be doing loads of talking in this one. It's more kind of a visual one, I think. Looks like a beautiful sunrise here this morning. Hope you can join me here for the Cotswold Circular Walk in the town of Stroud in Gloucestershire. Now, if you enjoy my railway series, I have done a video looking at Stroud Station recently, a short bite video, because it's been repainted, looking absolutely magnificent here. Also next to it you have the Stroud, which has been recently refurbished, and I've done another video in my railway series looking at Stroud's Midland Station and walking down to what was once the Bridge Junction. Now normally this is a very busy thoroughfare, but being 5:30 in the morning, it's lovely and quiet and making it very easy to film. It's not something I'd normally be able to do. There'd be taxis whizzing up here along Station Approach, which is called Station Road. It is a station approach, and then we're heading now into Russell Street to climb up higher up into the town before we start our walk proper in the countryside. There's a few interesting things to see along the way. I haven't been able to find out much about Toadsmoor Valley itself, or indeed how it got its name. So if you do live local, or even if you don't live local, how did it get its name, Toadsmoor Valley? Presumably, obviously, there are toads there because it's a deep valley, which has got fishing pond lakes there. So we're going to be having a look at that shortly. Other things we have here, just going past the Wetherspoons, which is the Lord John, and Stroud's post office. Do come here by train to Stroud, or if you come by public transport, or indeed if you're not doing that, arriving by car, it's well worth the wander. There we have the 4 clocks. Now on this side of the road here, which is between George Street and the junction between George Street and Bedford Street, is this, which is the Stroud subscription rooms. Really important place. It was sold, I think, by the council for £1, and it's been bought and now has some fantastic artists which perform here. Got the Stroud Beer Festival going on that side. We're going to see what they do have going on here shortly. Yes, coming up in July and August we've got Albert Lee, Oh What a Night, Alabama 3, Leo Sayer, Fleetwood Mac, and not Fleetwood Mac, but Fleetwood Mac, but they are a really good tribute artist, and Tom Robinson. They've had Lulu here and all kinds of people in the past, so it's a really good venue to have that in a smaller market town here in the heart of the Cotswolds. It's full of lots of independent shops, a couple of ones here opposite the subs rooms. We've got 14, which is a great gift shop, and this one is well worth checking out. It's called Made in Stroud. Lots of arts and crafts things and much more than made in and around the Stroud Valleys here in Gloucestershire. So we're now coming up to the High Street. Got a mountain warehouse there, so if you need some walking equipment as you arrive here in Stroud, then you can get boots and socks and all that kind of stuff in there. Opposite here you've got a shop called Moonflower and Moonflower 2, and next to that is Withers Yard, great place to have a coffee or drink just to chill out. Now, I did film another video in Stroud recently looking at part of Stroud's original waterworks, so we're climbing up here. Now that was interesting because it links into the canals because of the engineer that designed that over at Gaines's Well. Well, we're going to climb up to the top in the direction of what are known as the Silver Rooms and the old co-op here, which was done in the 1950s. Also got a health shop there, Sunshine, Stroud Bookshop, always well worth supporting local independent bookshops, and Woodruff's Cafe there as well. Another bookshop on that side there called R&R Books, second-hand books. This is Nelson Street, and in Nelson Street, quite famously, were once the Nelson Rooms, and unbelievably, just more than 40 years ago, a young fledgling Irish band called U2 performed here in Stroud. Yeah, I've never heard of them either. I think they went on to do something or other, but yeah, they performed here, and it was actually reopened a few years later, well, many years later, in the early 2000s by Lily Allen's dad, Keith Allen. So he had a cafe and bar, but sadly it's closed now. I think it was just in this area coming around here. I have another art place though called Raw Umber Studios, which is an art facility. They do art classes there. And we're now coming up to first of a pub for today, and that's the Golden Fleece, which is on my left, which should be appearing on your right shortly. There it is, behind me there, one Golden Fleece. You can just see the sunlight tipping over the top of the Cotswold Hills behind me. Now in Castle Street, the building there used to be a teachers' training centre. It's been closed quite a number of years now. I don't know what it's going to be repurposed for, but it's quite a striking building there in Cotswold stone. Something also interesting up here along Castle Street. In fact, my aunt used to live in Castle Street many moons ago now. So you're like higher up the town, although you're still also close to both the town centre, the shops, and also trains and buses in the area, so that's pretty good. In fact, Stroud's one of the better connected places. We've looked at Moreton in Marsh previously, also here in Gloucestershire and the Cotswolds, which sits on the Cotswold line between Oxford and Worcester and London, of course. So that one is a good hub as well. But obviously there's lots of other places in the Cotswolds which are a little bit more remote and difficult to get to, but not the case here in Stroud. Now I love this. This is a bit of a folly, hence why it's called Castle Street. It looks a little bit like a castle. There is the keep, and you have these castellated walls coming up here. Just there. It's great, that, isn't it? It's not something you expect to see in a town centre, but yeah, it's pretty good, pretty cool to have that here in this Cotswold town. Now it has more of a mixture of buildings here because, as well as being traditional Cotswolds, it has an industrial past because of the mills, mainly due to the valleys and the River Frome. And of course it then burgeoned with the openings of the canals and later the railway, and it grew, so it did become quite industrial. And still there's a lot of light industry in and around the Stroud valleys today. So going along here, very pleasant street, nice and quiet. I need to keep my voice down because it's still pretty early. Climbing up here in the direction of Stroud Hospital, and then we're going to going on towards a place called Mount Pleasant. Just off Castle Street here you have the site of Piccadilly Mill, which I believe now is apartments, but next to that you've got light industry again, Right Interiors Limited on the building to the left of it. Now come through Castle Street and now in Lower Street. In fact, what's behind me here, or in front of me should I say, is Stroud Hospital. Really, really good local community hospital. Has a minor injuries unit. That's Stroud Hospital there, which is at the moment about to celebrate its 150 years of existence, which is superb, and it's offered a great service of healthcare for people in Stroud for many years. We're now walking along Bowbridge Lane. You might be familiar with the name Bowbridge if you follow my canal series, because there is a lock there on the Thames and Severn Canal, which also just fits in the valley there. And another important building in terms of healthcare and for the community is Stroud Maternity Hospital, which is just over there. Lots of people in the Stroud Valleys were born in that hospital there. It was closed for a little while, but it has reopened again recently. Now, after leaving the hospital there, showing the maternity there, we've now climbed up a little bit up Trinity Road. This is Holy Trinity Church, Stroud. Some lovely roses outside of here, very well maintained. It's a Trinity Ecumenical Partnership. I'm not entirely sure I know what that means, but that's what it is anyway. You know, Christian fellowship sort of church. We're going to continue along this way now, which is Horns Road. So kind of normal, usual sort of standard housing. Continue along here till we get to Mount Pleasant. So now come to the end of Horns Road, which is where we enter the countryside bit on the junction of Spider Lane and Daisy Bank. Just pointing this out, this is the Crown and Sceptre Inn here, which serves usually ales and Stroud ales as well. And I love this here where it says West Country Ales there. Got to point that out, being West Country Wanderings, haven't I? I think that probably would have been an old off licence. You could have just probably nipped in there for a couple of bottles of stout and a packet of Players, a packet of crisps, that sort of thing. Yeah, so I'd love to see that. It's no longer open, of course, but the pub still is. And this here is Daisy Bank, given to the people of Stroud by Sir John Dorrington Bart, who was the local MP from Lippiott Park, somewhere we'll be heading over to, well, general direction of. It was given to the people of Stroud in 1899. Great bit of green space here in the heart of the town. Hills opening up all around us there. And our public footpath continues along here, going along Spider Lane. So at the end of Daisy Bank here is Stroud Town Cemetery. But we're not going to go into the cemetery, but along this way, which is marked as the Horns. So we've got Stroud Cemetery on both sides of us here. It's very quiet in the valley here, and the urbanisation of Stroud is falling away behind us as we head on to Toadsmoor. So here's like a lodge or a gatehouse. So you can't continue on that way because that's private. So we need to swing up into the woods here. I think they're called Congrye. It's a word I always struggle to pronounce. Congrye. Congrye Wood. Oh, it's a little bit dark and shady. We're in a deep woodland here. Long way from Stroud now. We're not long in terms of geographical miles, probably less than a mile, but very different world here. This is the remains of what was once Congrye Quarry, obviously for limestone. Probably a lot of buildings in and around the Stroud Valleys were built from stone that was quarried here once upon a time. Well, this is just glorious here. Sorry I'm in a little bit of shade because I'm under some trees here. And you've got the sun just going across the fields here in the valley. But there, yeah, this is a walk of contrast, isn't it? Only a few minutes ago I was walking through central urban Stroud, with all the buildings around there, people getting ready for work and deliveries, that sort of thing. And here, just glorious peace and quiet. It's actually cooler here than what it is back in town there, about 1.5 miles away. Got some unusual names around here. Those buildings over there, not sure if it's housing or a farm or a bit of both. It's called Snake's Hole. Interesting. Just come up steeply from the valley there. Just had to stop here for a little bit to get my breath back because it's still already pretty warm already. It's probably heading up into the mid-20s already, and it's still only, well, not even 7 o'clock yet. But this way, which is where our footpath goes, takes us into the Toadsmoor Valley, goes to another unusually named place called Wassa Wassa, which sounds vaguely African to me. Perhaps it's an indication of previous explorers here from the Stroud Valley. The Stroud Valley is even into the colonies that returned back to this part of the Cotswolds. I'm not sure, but yeah, Wassa Wassa. I couldn't find anything online to see how that name was derived. But it could almost be the African plains here because we've had so little rain. It looks, yeah, kind of like we're on the savannah, doesn't it? Expecting to see a hill of wildebeest coming across there anytime soon. We're now looking back down towards the town of Stroud, the Stroud Valleys, and out across towards the Severn Vale, River Severn, Sabrina of course. And on the other side of that is the Forest of Dean in western part of Gloucestershire, but it's a little bit hazy to pick it out clearly today. So we just met a road here. This is the road that goes from Brimscombe to Birdlip into the northern part of the Cotswolds. It's quite a quiet road though, so it's a good way of getting from Stroud area into further parts of the Cotswolds like Stow and Bourton-on-the-Water, etc. But we're not going and following the road, we're going down here to Middle Lypiat House, which is where our footpath continues down into the Toadsmoor Valley. So our way to Toadsmoor goes steeply down this lane, which is a private drive but also public right-of-way, into the Toadsmoor Valley. Now there are a couple of other footpaths that branch off at this point, so you can go on that way as an alternative route following Toadsmoor Valley. But instead we're going to go down this way, will take us down to the main pond here. And our path here goes off to the left. Again, very long grass here, but also very burnt grass, as you can see. But it has been cut recently to give us a clear way through, which is good. Looks like we've reached the valley floor bottom here. Well, appearances can be deceptive because it looks like it goes on down some more past this lovely Cotswold cottage here in the woods. Now, Toadsmoor woodlands are private woodlands, so they're just up there and right, but you can walk through them. There is it's not a public right-of-way on the OS map, but there is what's known as a permissive footpath, so you can walk through there. So they don't allow horses or bikes or vehicles or anything like that, but you can do it as a nice walk through the woods. But we're going to carry on down this track down to the pond. So here we are at Toadsmoor Valley with the Toadsmoor Pond. I think it's just the one pond, I'm not entirely sure. It's not that clear on the thing, but it's virtually impossible to get here via car because there is a road the other side there, which is a very busy road, or busy-ish. It goes to the village of Bisley, but also to lots of places in and around Chalford. So here it is, looking absolutely glorious. Look at that, isn't that fantastic? Well, this is just a fantastic spot here. I've just stopped here by the lake here. Lake, pond, not sure. It's wonderful whichever way it is. I guess because of the country estates here, perhaps the one we saw at Middle Lipia or the one we're going to go on to, it was used as a fishing stock lake for the estate and to provide food for all of that gamekeeper, and imagine all that stuff going on back a couple of 100 years ago, if not more. I'm really enjoying this walk. I love the contrast here. I can't believe I've never been to Toadsmoor Valley before. I've driven through it probably many times along the road there. That is the only criticism I have. Obviously got the road noise on that side of it, but the walk to it's absolutely joyous, and it's a beautiful morning to do it. It's still cool here. It's about 7:30 now. We're going to continue on with our walk now, doing a bit of a circle on, so we're not retracing our steps. We're around about halfway, so the total walk is around about 8 kilometres. I think we've got about 5 kilometres to go, because we're going on a different route towards Nether Lipia at this time, which some of you may know as a little bit of an interesting tale. So if I can tell you something about that when we get there. Hunt used to have some famous residents in the past. You're probably already ahead of me on this one, but yeah, lovely walk, and it's great. As I say, you can do it using public transport from Stroud railway station or a bus into the town, and complete a circular walk here in the wonderful and beautiful Cotswolds. So I have Toadsmoor Pond, and I think it is just the one pond, but it's quite a large pond off to my right. Lots of ducks in there, mallards and moorhens. There's a sign there saying keep your dog on a lead, because there's a moorhen nesting around here at the moment. And that side there, on my left, your right, is Toadsmoor Woods, which I say you've got a couple of permissive paths which will take you through there. We're going to turn you along this way, doing a complete circular, almost complete circular walk around Toadsmoor Pond, along the base, the bottom of Toadsmoor Valley, before striking up to Nether Lipiat Manor, and then we'll be taken away gradually back downhill into the Cotswold town of Stroud. So we've come out from along there, but to complete our circular walk around Toadsmoor Pond, we need to turn right over this point here, going over this star, which would be a normal stream going into the pond, but because it's been such a dry summer, it's completely dried up. Now, after you've come over the stile there, don't make the mistake I've just made and gone along here thinking, oh, well, I'm going around the other side of the pond now in a circular fashion, because that's wrong and it'll lead you to a dead end. Instead, you need to strike up a contour and go between these old Cotswold stone walls up there. Yes, it's not very obvious, is it? But that's where we need to go. I've just come up there with the broken walls. And we're now here above Toadsmoor Pond, striking up along this track. And as you can see there, we're quite a bit of height above the Toadsmoor Valley. But rather depressingly, I need to go all the way back down the bottom again to cross up to get into Nether Lipiat. Now, with the hot summer that we're having at the moment, you could imagine this is somewhere in the Mediterranean. These hillsides here were lined with olive trees. The way that climate is changing with climate change, that may become a reality, but yeah, because they're catching the sun on this side, it's still very warm at the moment. But I'm loving the walk though, it's really good. I'm glad I started off early, so I'll probably be finishing mid-morning. I'll probably get back into town and have a cold drink before I head home, quick look around the shops maybe. But and then I can get this video edited, but I probably won't put it out immediately because I have a couple of other videos to go out. I got one on the Severn Valley Railway, which I filmed last weekend, which is a rather special one. I hope you enjoy that. And yes, I hope to get that one out for this coming Sunday. I'm filming this on a Friday morning here in the Cotswolds, and it's good to be back doing another Cotswolds video again. I really enjoy doing these. The last one I think was Yate, wasn't it? We caught the train to Yate and then walked to Old Sodbury, and that was more of an urban walk there, because obviously Yate is a much more of an urban conurbation there in South Gloucestershire. But here it's just wonderful. I think a fly must have got in my throat then, apologies for that. You can see Middle Lypiat farmhouse just up on the hillside. It's right up there, so that's where we've come down from, crossed over Toadsmoor Valley, and we continue along this track, and as though we'll be striking up then to Nether Lypiat before we dip down back into Stroud. Catch up with you in a bit. So we're descending the valley again now to Halesgrove and Mackhouse Wood. I'm still in Hay Grove at the moment. I've been climbing since leaving Toadsmoor Pond and the valley there all the way. Just got a little bit more to climb before going over to Nether Lypiat Manor. I'll tell you a little bit about that before we return to Stroud. Now the reason I chose this walk today, excuse me, I'm a little bit out of breath because it's so warm. It's probably in the mid-20s already. It's going to get up into the 30s today. Yesterday, in fact, the warmest place in the UK was in the West Country Wanderings region. That was in Ross-on-Wye, Herefordshire. Not that far away from Stroud. I think you got up to about 32.5 degrees C, and it's forecast to be maybe a degree above that today. Hence why I chose this route, which isn't too far, but also a lot of it is in woodland. So that's why I chose it, and it's convenient obviously for me. I haven't needed to drive a long distance to get here on a very warm day. I can get back home to have nice cooling drinks and do some editing. But I'm loving the walk, it's great. So we're now approaching Nether Lypiat Manor. It's built in the early 1700s by an unknown architect for Judge Charles Cove, with one wing added in 1930 by Morley Horder. The small house forms a perfect square of 46 feet, some 14 metres. And the attic story with dormers was removed in 1844 but replaced by Horder in 1923. It's been praised by architectural historian Mark Giraud as a perfectly exemplifying the earliest century formal house. And it does say in the notes that it's a possibility that Nether Lypiat Manor was the influence of the Governor's Palace in Williamsburg, Virginia. See if I can find a photograph of that so we can compare the two and let me know if you think they do look similar. The garden designer Rosemary Veary worked on the gardens when the Prince and Princess Michael of Kent lived here. Now I actually remember seeing Prince and Princess Michael of Kent in the Roman Catholic Church in Stroud there at Beeches Green. Used to go to that because they lived here in the 1980s and into the 1990s. How did it come about though? Well, it was to do with the death of one Thomas Frean in 1689, and his estate was then divided up. One of them was Anne Chamberlain. She obtained a previous house which stood near to the present one, and it was her daughter Catherine who married the Judge Charles Cox. He was also MP for Cirencester and later Gloucester, and he was a circuit judge for Wales. It was later bought in the 1920s by Gordon Woodhouse, part of the Marsala fortune, and his wife, the harpsichordist Violet Gordon Woodhouse, who lived in a menage à cinq. They added the northwest pavilion and improved the interior. In 2005, Nether Lypiat Manor was put up for sale again, and the agent was asking for over 6 million, although it was lowered by 2006 to 5.5 million. And according to the Sunday Times, it was purchased by a businessman and peer called Lord Drayson for £5.75 million. Wow. And in 2023, it was put on the market again. Wait for this. Bearing in mind it had been bought for 5.75 million for an incredible 11 million pounds. I don't know if it sold for 11 million pounds or whether it's still on the market 3 years later, but isn't that amazing to think that? So now on a public footpath which is going to take us to Clay Pits and Clay Pits Lane. I do apologise for the lighting being wrong. So yeah, it takes us on to Clay Pits Lane and Thrupp, which is the parish that Nether Lipiot Manor is in. And Thrupp, of course, famous being on the Thames and Severn Canal. Has a lock there. Stroud Brewery site is there as well. But we're not going to walk down to the canal today. We've obviously covered the canal before I last did it. With a collab with Kevin's Ramblings and Wandering with Watto. That was a brilliant day. Walking to Ebley Mill, the other side of Stroud. And back again, we had a lunch there. That was a great day. But apologies for not being able to get some great shots of Nether Lipiot Manor. You had the gardener working at the front of it. I could see people in the windows and I felt very self-conscious just grabbing a couple of seconds of video footage and photographs there. Probably very high prominent people that live there now, I would guess, as it always has been. I would think, obviously with that judge and the royal members of the royal family. So yeah, but it's still an amazing place, situation there with the Toadsmoor Valley and the woods beyond it down the back. But we'll continue on this way to Clay Pits Lane, and then we'll be striking back down into Mount Pleasant Valley. So I've got Nether Lipiot Manor behind me. This is the view that you can see from Nether Lipiot Manor. Well, you probably need a pair of binoculars from the bedroom windows, but that's looking down into the Stroud Valleys across to places like Ryford, Leonard Stanley, Stonehouse, and I can even see Sabrina there in the distance, River Severn, and the Forest of Dean. There's a magnificent view. It's a bit hazy, a bit further on a clearer day you've got it. And then, of course, on the top there you can see Minchinhampton Common with the cars travelling along it. So we're pretty high up at the moment. I've got Clay Pits Lane to my right, which I'm just going to be joining shortly. But only for a short period of time, and then we're going to be diving off on footpath back into the Mount Pleasant Valley before we head back into the town of Stroud. And crossing over this star here, going through the gate and down the footpath there, will take us back into the Mount Pleasant Valley, and on the opposite side to where we were with the cemetery there. That's the way we went in, or rather across to Toadsmoor. We were entering it on the other side this time. And the saga of the strange names here in Stroud continues, because we're heading towards a place called the Heavens. We had, what was it, Wassy we had earlier on, wasn't it? And Snake Hole. And now we've got the Heavens. Yeah, I love all the names, they're brilliant. From here you can also see that apartment block there, the red apartment block, which was in the background when I was doing the piece to camera at Stroud Station earlier on this morning. Well, very early this morning, about 20 something past 5. Now I've got a request from you really, if you could drop a comment below. Apologies for the lighting because the sun's behind me at the moment. Is obviously today I'm doing a walk in the Cotswolds and it's a car-free one, so a couple of things. First of all, is there anywhere in the Cotswolds that you'd like me to cover that we've not previously covered here on West Country Wanderings? Or indeed, perhaps there's someone in the Cotswolds we have covered but you'd like me to do it in more depth or return to it for whatever reason? That's the first question. The second question is, this walk today, as was the last one from Yate up to Old Sobbury, and we've done previously ones, we've done to Morton and Marsh, called Buster Stowe, and one I went to Evesham train station, railway station should I say, and caught a bus to Beckford, walking up around Breedon Hill there. So is there any other ones that you'd like me to cover via public transport? And on the subject of public transport, would you like me to do a video looking at apps to help you do public transport? Now, for many of you that would probably be like automatic, you use them all the time to buy train tickets, but I appreciate there's probably some people out there watching this that tend to just jump in the car to drive to place, but fancy using a bus or a train and a bus to get to places to do it car free. And you may not be confident to do that, so you have maybe not travelled on a train or did a bus for some time. So if you'd like me to show you how I go about planning my route and buying tickets to do the journeys that I do here on West Country Wanderings, if you want me to do a separate video about that, then please drop that as a comment below as well. Love to hear from you. Hope you're enjoying the Cotswold series here on West Country Wanderings. It's always one I'll return to. I try to do about one a month in the Cotswolds if I can, depending on what. It's been about 6 weeks since the last one, I realised that, but we hope to be back doing another one in about 4 or 5 weeks time. So we're now looking back towards Stroud Cemetery and Daisy Bank here from Mount Pleasant Valley. Our footpath to return back to the town centre though goes down, dips down there, picks up the Boat Bridge Road, heads back into the town centre. Well, I think it's going to get busy in the Stroud when I head back, so I'm just going to close the video here, finish with a little bit more footage of the town itself to wrap the video up. Hope you've enjoyed this walk in the Cotswolds today. Another car-free one, another circular one from the town of Stroud here in the county of Gloucestershire. As I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please drop a comment below. If you think somebody else might be interested in this video, doing walks, then please share it. Oh, one more thing to mention, like I always do with my Cotswold walks, in the description of today's video you will find a map. So if you want to do the walk yourself, here from the town of Stroud, using public transport, obviously then you're avoiding paying parking charges in the town and trying to struggle to find a car, all that sort of thing. And parking anywhere near where I've been walking today is extremely difficult. There are a couple of bays for the odd car or two, but the lanes around here are very tight and narrow. A lot of them are private lanes as well, so I think public transport is definitely the best way for this one. Anyway, love to see you on the channel again here on West Country Wanderings again soon. Thank you very much for watching today. All the best. Bye bye.